Dawn breaks over Ctesiphon like a slow fire, gilding the great arch of Taq Kasra in amber and rose. In the scriptorium below the palace, a single oil lamp already burns. Bahram is at his desk before the other scribes arrive. He always is. His reed pen moves across the papyrus with the surety of a man who has made language his fortress. Syrian trade dispatches, dense with merchant anxieties, surrender their meanings beneath his hand and emerge reborn in elegant Middle Persian. The air smells of cedar oil, lamp smoke, and the river mud drifting up from the Tigris. Beneath his linen robe, hidden against his sternum, a small bronze cross rests warm against his skin, a secret carried as naturally as breath. He is the Shah's faithful instrument. But instruments, history reminds us, can be turned. The courier arrives at the 3rd hour past midnight, his riding cloak stiff with dust and river mud, the seals of 3 different hands pressed into the wax of a single, unremarkable packet. Hormizd, the chief scribe, turns it in his liver-spotted fingers beneath the guttering light of an oil lamp, saying nothing. The scriptorium smells of cedar resin, dried ink, and the faint rot of the Tigris rising through the walls. Every other scribe is dismissed. Only Bahram remains, the half-Greek, half-Persian anomaly the court tolerates precisely for moments like this. Hormizd sets the packet on the reading table as though it were a sleeping serpent, then steps back into shadow. The broken seal bears Byzantine workmanship. The papyrus within is dense, with a hand Bahram recognizes instantly, and the first words he reads stop his breath entirely. The oil lamp gutters. Bahram bends over the papyrus, his reed pen trembling against the cedar writing board as Greek letters surrender their secrets to Persian understanding. Word by word, the conspiracy assembles itself, cold, precise, merciless as a surgeon's blade. Aconitine, sourced from Armenian merchants. The summit banquet. The Shah's own cup. He reads it 3 times, as though repetition might unmake the meaning. Around him, Ctesiphon breathes in darkness, the Tigris lapping at crumbling reeds, distant dogs quarreling over bones in the bazaar, the vast indifferent palace dreaming of its own magnificence. Bahram sits very still. He is a man who translates the words of others, who exists in the spaces between languages, between empires, between faiths. Now, the space between knowing and acting has become the most dangerous territory on earth. The vizier's chamber smells of cedar oil and old ambition. Bahram crosses the mosaic floor, his sandals whispering against lapis-veined stone, the translated summary pressed between his palms like a burning coal. He bows before Shapur the elder, a man whose gray beard conceals a mind sharpened across 4 decades of court survival. He presents his words carefully, measured, offering the shadow of the letter rather than its substance. And then he watches. A lesser man might exhale, recoil, reach for a messenger. Shapur does none of these things. His dark eyes settle on Bahram with the stillness of a falcon already fed. No surprise registers. Only a slow, deliberate nod, like a priest confirming scripture he has long memorized. In that silence, colder than the Tigris at dawn, Bahram understands. The conspiracy did not begin in Constantinople. The Greek quarter breathes differently at dusk. Incense from Nestorian shrines drifts through narrow alleys paved with river-worn stone, mingling with the smoke of tallow lamps and the sharp tang of pickled fish hauled up from the Tigris. Bahram moves through these streets like a man wearing 2 skins, his Pahlavi court robes conspicuous among the linen tunics and Byzantine crosses. Behind him, somewhere in the labyrinth of merchant stalls and hanging wool cloth, footsteps echo with deliberate irregularity, the careful rhythm of a man trying not to be heard. He does not turn. A trained scribe knows the value of what is unacknowledged. The bishop's house lies beyond the copper cellars row, its doorway marked by a carved ichthys, worn smooth by generations of desperate hands. And tonight, Bahram's own fingers find it trembling. The candle gutters. Tallow smoke coils through the low-vaulted chamber like a slow confession. Here, beneath the weight of Ctesiphon's indifferent stars, the bishop speaks. And with each word, Bahram's world contracts. Vizier Shapur, keeper of the Shah's trust, architect of 1,000 seals, has sold his allegiance for Byzantine gold. The conspiracy does not merely reach the palace, it lives inside it. But there is worse. Should the plot unravel, the court will need a culprit, and a Greek-born scribe who reads their enemies' letters makes a devastatingly plausible one. Bahram presses his ink-stained hands together, feeling the familiar roughness of calloused fingers, tools that have served two masters all his life. He is not merely a witness to betrayal. He has become its intended face. Tomorrow he must act, or be erased. The great hall of Taq Kasra blazes with the light of 1,000 oil lamps, their amber glow catching the gold thread of silk robes and the cold gleam of silver platters. Rosewater and roasted saffron lamb perfume the air. At the long table, Byzantine and Persian dignitaries recline in careful, performative harmony. Bahram moves unseen among the servants, his stylus hidden, his eyes restless. He watches the physician, a lean, gray-bearded man who carries his wine cup without drinking, whose fingers hover too long near the royal decanter. The man's Greek is flawless, but his accent carries something older, something hired. Across the hall, Khosrow I reaches forward, jeweled fingers closing around the stem of his goblet, and time itself seems to slow to a single, terrible heartbeat. Bahram takes his first step forward. In an instant, the weight of two civilizations presses upon a single outstretched arm. Bahram lunges. The gilded goblet shatters against the marble floor of Taq Kasra, its poisoned wine spreading like dark blood across pale stone. The hall erupts. Lamplight catches the drawn steel of a dozen royal guards, their iron armor ringing through incense-thick air. Bahram stands his ground, voice tearing through the chaos in Persian, then Greek. The accusation raw, bilingual, undeniable, a weapon forged from every year he has lived between two worlds. Silk robes scatter. Court officials freeze like figures pressed into clay tablets. Then the guards seize him. Rough hands, iron grip, the cold kiss of chains at his wrists. He has thrown the stone into still water. Now he must survive the wave. The throne room of Taq Kasra swallows men whole. Gilded fire altars flickered along colonnaded walls, their light catching the cold geometries of hammered silver and lapis lazuli. Bahram kneels upon polished stone, the translated letter pressed flat before the feet of Khosrow Anushirvan, the immortal soul, who reads in absolute silence. The air smells of cedar smoke and the river mud that clings to Bahram's worn sandals, a peasant's earth in a god-king's court. Around him, nobles breathe carefully, measuring every blink of the royal eye. Bahram's hands are steady now. The exhaustion has burned away everything except a strange, luminous calm. The dignity of a man who has chosen, irrevocably, which world he belongs to. The Shah raises his gaze, and the court holds its breath for what that silence will become. The Tigris moves slowly tonight, indifferent to the fate of empires. Bahram sits on its clay bank, his reed pen still stained with the ink that saved a dynasty. Taq Kasra rises behind him, its great arch swallowing the last amber light of dusk, its silhouette unchanged by the storm that passed invisibly through its halls. He holds his royal commission pressed with the seal of Khosrow I himself, and yet the parchment feels neither like triumph nor belonging. The bazaar murmurs in Persian. His prayers, when they come, arrive in Greek. He is the bridge, yes, but bridges are walked upon, rarely celebrated. A man defined entirely by the space between two worlds. And somewhere across that darkened river, new letters are already being written. Letters that will require, once again, a man fluent in secrets.